Has there ever been a time where the triangle had some mixing around transfer action within its own sect? We'll talk about it on today's show. Dontrez Styles could be going to another local team after leaving North Carolina. Where might he land? Also, some other portal party announcements as we have a few players top of their programs decide they want to part ways. We'll talk about it all on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On ACC and Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us here at Locked On ACC, wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download, subscribe to the pod. We are only a couple away from 1,000, so help us get there on our YouTube channel. So subscribe at the moment. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more by visiting FanDuel.com/Locked On today to get started. Kenton Gibbs here. We're rocking and rolling. We're talking through the fact that Dontrez Styles, former UNC Tar Heel, may take his talents across the street 30 minutes down the road to Raleigh, North Carolina, potentially be an NC State Wolfpacker. Kevin Keatts heavily recruited him when he was figuring out where he wanted to go to school, ended up taking the route of going to UNC, and now that he's in the transfer portal, he has entertained the idea of going down the road. And I say, hey, why not? Shake things up, make it a little crazy. Coach Heber didn't play you like he should have. Go ahead and be a great guard at NC State now that they've lost both Jarkel Joyner, who has no eligibility, and Terquavion Smith, who has gone and declared for the draft. What are your thoughts on Dontrez even entertaining the idea of going to a crosstown rival? Let's start there.
I mean, it's very interesting. I've seen this happen before, not at the college level, but I've seen players transfer to their rival high school, and I'm like, ooh, yeesh, that's tough. College is a whole nother level. Like that's like
why so?
Because would you have a letterman from both colleges? Like, how would that work? Like, it's kind of weird as an NC State grad. Me personally, I would never have a UNC letterman in my closet that belongs to me, right? Like, that's just not a thing in my purview of the world. But I mean, hey, more power to him. I'll say this. I know that while he was being recruited originally, NC State and UNC were his top two schools. More power to him. You know what I mean? More power to him. And I'm not just saying that because NC State. If this was a Virginia Tech situation, if this was, any other schools that are very much so rivals and you were looking at transferring to the in-state rival school, I mean, hey, more power to you. At the end of the day, I am very much so for freedom of movement amongst these players and whatnot. So if you think that the grass is greener or that the grass grows greener where your rivals are growing it, by all means, go do your thing.
I think if you look at it if we start about should someone transfer within the rival, all the things, allegedly North Carolina says that NC State's not a rival. So that's one. Mm-hmm. No, it's Fugazi, but whatever. Number two, at the end of the day, the check gonna clear either way. So I would wear two jackets. I would throw one away. I would do whatever. It really wouldn't matter. I have to look at it from what are kids doing now. I would never go to another school because I just had loyalty to the one that recruited me, finish it through. That's my POV. I ain't got NIL money in my face. I don't have, coaches benching me and doing all the things, right? So it's hard for me from that lens. However, semicolon, comma, we all know that opportunity is where you get help so you get to the next level. I think Dontrez would get a lot more playing time. It's open for him to be a good guard. Do I think he could have stayed in North Carolina? Sure. But if you ain't playing me after some point, you can't just if I'm not getting no love, what you want me to do? Just ride the bench and hope for the best?
I mean, I 100% agree. Again, I'm for these players having player movement. We've seen how many times players who were not necessarily a big deal coming out and doing great things at the next school that they go to. So I'm not saying that it's a bad decision anytime a player transfers or anything like that.
Sure.
I'm all for these players. Find a situation that's best for you. And I'll say this: certain times when some of these young folks transfer, I look up and I say, it's not going to get better for you than what you had at your last school. This ain't one of those situations. Like, this young man has legitimately he's seen very limited action with a backcourt that was extremely streaky, and he still couldn't crack the rotation. I think there's something to be said there.
But are you saying more power to you? But when it comes to rivals, I don't know. It feels like that's what we're saying.
I mean, listen, it's his life to lead. I
don't want to hear Preacher Kenton. I want to hear cold, hard fact, Kenton. You shouldn't go to your rival program.
Well, but that's the thing. What can you say that is factual in terms of these blinds are killing me right now? What can you say in terms of absolution for, hey, you need to do things one way or the other, right? Like, me personally, again, if I lace them up for a rival, I'm not, I played every game with the same intensity. Rivalry games didn't get more intensity, more anger, more passion out of me. Actually, they got more anger out of me, but I played every game with the same intensity. I just don't personally see that as a thing, but hey, more power to him. More power to him.
I think if he goes to a situation and plays better at NC State, that's going to be very telling of Hubert Davis. And a lot of Carolina fans are going to be mad because of how long he rode the bench and how he didn't get in the rotation, especially considering the next player we're going to talk about who left. And not pretty much for Hubert, it's going to be the worst for Hubert. This can only go wrong for Hubert Davis.
I mean, there are not. Dontrez ain't the only one transferring in conference. He may be the only one transferring via rivals, but one of the biggest targets for transfer is a young man from Notre Dame has now found himself at Syracuse. So, I mean, there's plenty of folks who are transferring.
Not the same thing.
That's true. That's true. His coach is gone, so Mike Bray won't have to answer for why didn't you.
Both those coaches are gone. Let's keep it a buck.
That's very true. That's very true. Well, I mean, either way you look at it, this is just the era we're in. Players are moving and grooving, and we knew that it was only a matter of time before a player moved and grooved on over to a rival.
But hear me out. This is all on Hubert. So if he plays well, it's like, all right, damn, Hubert, do you actually know what you're doing? If he plays bad, it's like, okay, maybe Hubert has something good. Like, this is all, to me, a bubble for Hubert Davis. And arguably, Kevin Keatts, of like, what happened in the recruiting process that you couldn't nail him down the first time. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, the recruiting process, people have their different things. People have their different 20-year-old me was a lot smarter than 18-year-old me. Sure. And 20-year-old me was dumb compared to me now. But compared to 18-year-old me, he knew more, he saw more, he did more, all that good stuff. At the end of the day, we all make bad decisions. And if going to UNC was a bad decision for him, like it's been for many people in history, it's all right. That's okay.
Couldn't help yourself. I think ultimately NC State is going to be better for Dontrez. I think he's going to be able to lead that program. I think he's going to be able to take some things that he saw from UNC in terms of whether you're playing your rival, they will play each other twice next year. Can you say like, oh, this is what, RJ does. This is what Armando does. I mean, not that they don't watch film in and of itself, but there are certain ticks and quirks and things that I'm sure he has inside scoop on. He pretty much is like a new mole. I ain't mad at the boy. I want him to go be great. I thought he was leaving in December. I'm surprised he made it through the whole season, but that's neither here nor there. I'm looking at Hubert.
If he turns out to be great, yeah. If he turns out to like ball out 15 plus points a game, 5 plus assists or rebounds a game, yeah, there needs to be.
I'm looking at Hubert hard in the mirror saying but I think ultimately there needs to be a gut check because he is not the only player from UNC that is left. There has been a max exodus that we've ever seen from North Carolina. Yes, it's the landscape of what we have for college basketball, but it feels a little shaky considering how hard they preach about the Carolina family. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the other player who is deciding that he wants to take his talents elsewhere in just a second. But the tournament is heating up. We're down to the final 4. We're going to talk about Virginia Tech being the lone on the women's side, Miami being the lone on the men's side. America's #1 sportsbook has got you covered if you want to get in on the action and bet on these bad boys. New customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Just go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn today and sign up for a no sweat first bet. Then you can wager everything from money line to point spreads to which team will be cutting down the net, all on the app that's safe, secured, super easy to use. So don't miss your shot at no sweat first bet up to $1,000 when you join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Rocking and rolling with Kenton Gibbs. We're talking through transfer portal party. It's been a good one around the triangle. Not only is Dontrez Styles leaving, but Caleb Love was the big splashy name that came across our way. He is transferring, no decision on where he's going to go next. It sounded like from his, 3-paragraph goodbye that it wasn't to the league. It was more so trying to keep his collegiate career going, which is interesting, right? I think that a lot of people said you might as well take your talents to the next level, but clearly he still feels like he has something to prove at this part of his journey. So Caleb leaving, no guard. Dontrez leaving, no guard. RJ Davis, this is now your team, your program. Here we go, rock and roll. Giddy up.
Good for him. Good for RJ. I mean, hey, I'm sure that you'll have some great help coming in next year. But I want to talk about something that you said there with the Carolina family thing. And I want to extend this to all of the teams and all of the fans, right? Because it's not just Carolina. It's every school. And if you're listening to this from another school or from another conference, great. Glad to have you here. Go ahead and subscribe. With that being said, NIL, transfer portal, all that stuff is bigger than your school. I don't care how big you think your brand is. I don't care if you think you're Dabo Sweeney and, this team was built off God's name, image, and likeness. He's sitting up there now. What I got to do with it? See how my name get thrown and stuff? I ain't got nothing to do. Yeah, he said that this program was built in God's name, image, and likeness. Yeah, he legitimately said that. So with that being said, again, I'm making it very clear, folks. None of your schools are safe. None of your programs are safe. The ACC, in terms of basketball, has about 30-something to 40% turnover from year to year in terms of players. That many players aren't graduating or aging out the system. None of you are safe. Okay? I don't care if we're the family. We're different from y'all. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not different. You're not special. You're not cute. You're just like everybody else.
And I think to that point, when you talk about family and being like everybody else, we saw the ugly side of family, fandom, really. And I think that's a big reason why Caleb left, despite the fact that he had given North Carolina fans probably one of the highest of the highs in terms of the Mark Williams shot, shooting over Mark Williams in the Final Four, making that three, all the things, having great clutch moments during the NCAA tournament in previous years. Death threats, being ugly towards him. Yes, he absolutely has some tricky moments. He either shot you in games, shot you out of games. It was all of the emotions involved. I think what's even bigger is now that a lot of betting comes into play, people were riding on parlays or what he would do and yada, yada, yada. And they would let him know about it. And the boy had to delete his Twitter at one point because of the ugliness that he saw. So to me, as much as we preach family, 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 y'all was ugly. And y'all can't take it back now. Now you're stuck with whoever you're going to get. And I've seen some of the people that Carolina are targeting. And I'm like, you probably should have been a little more quiet.
I'm going to say this, right? And I want to make this very clear. Caleb Love is 21 years old. Mm-hmm. I would not bet on a 21-year-old to get out of bed and wipe their behind on a daily basis consistently. I wouldn't bet on that. Okay?
But okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I don't trust people that young to do much consistently. And you think I'm going to put money on you to perform?
Yeah.
Have you lost your rabbit mind? What is wrong with you?
Right.
What is anyway?
You're doing enough to bet on pros who have load management and do their own things, but let alone a teenager or a young 20-year-old who probably just, lost his girlfriend, lost his, favorite pair of Jordans, all the things. Like, it's just a lot.
Why'd you have to say lost his girlfriend with Caleb Love? That's some nasty work. That's some nasty work. Anywho, the reality is very simple. And again, I want to speak to all fans here. Doesn't matter what school you're from. if you want to be in that nasty minority, because I know that the majority of sports fans, you watch the sport, you watch the game, you get upset, you get happy. Whatever happens at the end of the game, you going about your life. You know what I mean? After Saturday, when the game happens, if it's football, or after Tuesday or Thursday or Saturday, or whenever college basketball players play, you go on about your life.
Yeah.
That nasty minority, that nasty limited group, that nasty, very small group that ends up louder than everybody else, that ends up doxing players, that ends up releasing personal information about players, that ends up sending death threats and all that. Do you see the ramifications of your actions? And maybe you don't yet. Maybe you don't.
I don't care. Yeah, which is even crazier. Me to have a hard look in the mirror.
But I'll tell you this. Sometimes when you run a player out of town, there isn't always something better on the other side. You know,
Beyond
just like
that, beyond that, sometimes you run player out of town and somebody who's just as good sees that and says, why would I want to come to a place where someone of my quality or maybe even better than me is getting eaten up like this?
And that's what I was just about to say. Sometimes there are players who are going to look and say, for the future, wait a minute, all it takes is a couple of bad games, and then all of a sudden, they outside my mama crib? Oh, no.
And I just got them to the national championship game? That's crazy.
Yeah. Again, it's this. We know fan is short for fanatic. We all know that, right? We've been over that a million times, sure. But the reality is simple. At the end of the day, fans, at the end of the day, listeners, at the end of the day, even for me and Candace and I as podcast hosts, right? Whatever happens in these games, the next day, you still got to go to work.
Yeah.
You still got to take care of your kids. You still got to, whatever it is in your life that you do, right? Be it bagging groceries, be it brain surgery, be it rocket science, be it recruiting, accounting, whatever it is that you do. Your team winning a national championship, losing a national championship, not being in a tournament, not playing in the NIT, getting all the accolades, getting ACC player of the year, whatever the case may be. All of those things, they're nice. They're good.
Yeah, 100%.
Great. We love it. You still got life going on. That mortgage company still coming on the first. That landlord still coming on the first. That car company that that's you buying your car from, they still, or finance your car, they still coming on the first. Somebody is still coming. So don't,
relax.
Stop it with the death threats to 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds.
Yeah, relax. Rent still due on the first. And I had a lot of people texting me about the Caleb Love situation and then the Wojcik, coming in, and it was like poor timing for Wojcik. Felt bad for the boy who decided that he's pretty much going to be a walk-on, but that's neither here nor there. UNC has enough issues. They're not the only team. Filipowski may be returning to Duke, but Tyler Proctor is definitely Tyler. Is it Tyler? I think it is. I don't know. Sorry, it's Proctor.
Proctor is definitely returning. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Proctor is returning. Filipowski retweeted Proctor, so people thought, oh, if Filipowski is retweeting it, talking about there's still business to do. Filipowski saying to himself maybe he should come back as well. I think Phil need to go ahead about his way. I think Kyle, but we call him Filipowski. I think he needs to go ahead too. I think he needs to go to the league.
I'll tell you this. At the end of the day, I think that Tyrese Proctor has a lot more money to make in coming back.
There we go. Excuse me.
I'm not sure if Filipowski does. I'm not sure how much money he has to make in coming back as opposed to going to the league. Don't get me wrong. Building out his frame a little bit more, it's good. It's great. Hey, that'd be great. Developing a deeper bag of post moves. Hey, it's good. It's great. All that good stuff. I think people pretty much know what you're projecting out to be. Showing a more feathery shooting touch. Hey, yay, you did it.
Yeah.
You did the thing. Good.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing a world where you have a ton more money to make. That's just the reality to me. Again, your limitations are your limitations. The things that you excel at are the things you excel at. Go make your money, player.
He's absolutely in a position where he can develop, but go to develop at a place where they have very high level coaching, or that you can make at least a quick meal. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Or honestly, but here's the thing: be a two-way player or go play at Duke.
And that's the thing. I honestly and truly, if you're bringing along a rookie that you're taking in a lottery, right? Are you gonna make that player a two-way player? I doubt it.
Fair. That's fair.
I doubt it because
ride the bitch for a pro team or go play at Duke and be part of all the camera crazy, all the things, all the like.
I mean, the thing is, at some point in time, that ride the bench is coming. Like you can delay it, you can put it up. In the words of Thanos, you can delay it, you can run from it, you can hide for. Destiny is inevitable. Okay, and that's at some point in time, he's gonna go to the league. And he's not going to be the tallest player on the court anymore. He's not going to be the, all the things. I don't think he's the tallest player on the court at Duke now. But you get my point. He's not going to be. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be all those things anymore. Yeah. He's not going to be the guy with the most. He's not going to be the big with the best shooting touch or with the deepest bag of post moves anymore. It's not going to be him. It's not going to be him. So,
man, you want to talk about somebody not having a lot of post moves, not having a lot going for him, but still trying to ride the wave till he can't ride the wave no more.
Please,
okay,
please.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
He's going right to the Outer Banks. Okay.
The day that I have to defend the Tar Heel, just nasty work. Very nasty work.
Done defending the Tar Heels, going back around the triangle. NC State had a couple of portal party action. Jack Clark decided to transfer. Duana decided to transfer. Duana was a little bit surprising to me. Maybe.
I was more surprised by Jack Clark than Ebenezer Duana.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because Jack Clark was playing. He was either when he was healthy, he was playing starters minutes and getting up a starters amount of shots. In my mind,
he saw the writing on the wall with Dontrez.
In my mind, I have a very simple question and see, this is what I mean when I say players need good counsel in their ear. Because, and this is no offense to Jack Clark, I don't think that he's a bad player by any stretch of the imagination.
Fine young man.
What else is out there for you? What's the
Division I program
for you?
ACC conference. What more do
starting minutes, starting amount of shots. Do you think you're going to be a 25-point scorer somewhere else? Do you think
he might end up at like a Florida Atlantic and ride the NCAA tournament wave and go, do the thing?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Hey, and this is no disrespect.
It sounded nice.
This is no disrespect to Florida Atlantic because I know it's a what have you done for me lately type of deal. Yeah. But the best predictor of future behaviors is what, Miss Cooper?
The past.
The past. The past shows us that counting on going to a lower tier school saying, hey, I'm going to ride this out into the NCAA tournament and get me a Final Four appearance. Are you well, son? Are you well? If he goes to a bigger school with a bigger brand, bigger name and all that, I guess. But even then, it's like, how many of those schools
saturated market, I think that's tough too. Unless you are a superstar, and that's my point exactly. Your program, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be difficult for you. It's going to be challenging.
And again, Ebenezer Duana is on the other end of that spectrum to where like he played a little bit, but there is more meat on the bone for him elsewhere. Like you could see him getting more minutes, getting more shots elsewhere. Yeah. It made sense. That one, like a while again, another guy that I don't think has a super deep bag of post moves and just a wide array of things he can go to at any moment. Heck, I'd even say one post move that he has deeply committed to memory to the point where he can go to that any moment he wants to and has a great chance to set. He doesn't have that. But I could see why he would say, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm a good enough rim protector. I'm a good enough rebounder that if you give me starters minutes, I'll be a lob threat for you all day and tomorrow. I'll go ahead and do the things that you need a stand at pretty good to above average center to do all day and tomorrow. I can do those things at a high level. Yeah. And I could get that. I could get that from him, which like, all right, if Mahorch is going to be in front of you, DJ Burns going to be in front of you, if you're going to have struggles.
DJ have another year of eligibility?
He does.
Oh, my Lord.
He does, yeah.
That motherfucker will work on a jumper in the offseason. We going to be in trouble.
I'm going to tell you what, if DJ Burns learn how to finish over that right shoulder, if he learn how to finish over that, because he was killing them with just the left. I'm like, how are y'all failing here? You know what's coming. You know whatever movie works is going over that left shoulder. But anyway, and I could see why, with him. But again, some of these guys, I need y'all to get better counsel in your corner. I need y'all to get people who are going to tell you, hold on, wait a minute.
Really step back and assess. And listen, there could be various reasons why people leave, whether it could be family, it could be personal, it could be, coach getting in a fight or he doesn't treat me with respect. There's 1,003 different reasons beyond being on the court. But
Absolutely.
if we're talking about X's and O's, some of y'all need to reassess. That's what we're trying to say.
Yeah. Absolutely. Genesis Bryant, another NC State player, being a perfect example. She transferred up to Illinois and just balled out of her mind. And anybody who said, oh, I couldn't have seen this coming, I would ask you, well, what did you see? Did you get a big enough sample size to know what she truly was at NC State? She was only playing 2-3 minutes a game, 5 minutes a game sometimes. So there's not a sample size out to where definitively this is who you are or not.
Yeah.
Jack Clark, baby, the sample size is there. We got
listen, people enter the portal and come back. People come back home.
Jack,
if you're listening, you might need to come on home, big dog.
When you went to Costco and y'all was having a tough time economically, so y'all just kind of rotated around and kept getting the free samples, and you got more than the samples worth. You know what I'm saying?
You Jack Clark, keep your $2 hot dog and come on.
We done seen you at the kiosk 5 times, baby. We done seen you. You got a full meal worth of that sample. They gave you the little cup of yogurt. You got 5 cups. Okay. That makes a full bowl. Makes a full bowl. We've seen the full bowl of what you got to offer, brother.
Quit playing with us. Yeah.
And again, he ain't the only one. Because there's some more folks. There's some more folks in the portal that we look at and say, we've seen the full course meal, brother. You don't need to be, young lady, you do not need to be transferring. The grass is, get your degree from that prestigious university. But
Hello, somebody. Well, speaking of ladies getting degrees, there are ladies going down to Dallas getting ready to have a time. LSU Virginia Tech is going down this weekend. We're super excited about it. We don't have too much to delve into. We're going to give you a full breakdown. I'm going to give them all their time and worthy of a full segment. But it's exciting to see Kenny Brooks and the girls be at this point. First time in program history, they're making the Final Four. They face a really good LSU team. When I say a really good LSU team, I think they're a beatable LSU team. Very beatable. I think Angel Reese and Flage are great, but beatable.
I think every team in the country is beatable, except South Carolina, without a lot of help. Without them having a very
South Carolina would have to have a very off night, yes.
Very off night. That's the team that you hope and you pray and you do everything you need to do, okay?
100%.
You hope that they're having a bad day. But this LSU team, again, they dominated all year. They've had a really great year, but also their out of conference schedule was so bad that some of that is kind of inflated. Here's the problem. Because they beat up on everybody out of conference so bad, they have this funny little C word that makes people hard to beat. That C word is confidence. Mm-hmm. They believe in each other. They believe in themselves. They believe in Moki and all the sequence and all the things. That's tough. But I'm going to tell you this.
Confidence is cute, but they ain't met Elizabeth Kitley and them at Georgia anymore.
I'm going to tell you this. Okay? I talked about how Ohio State was their goal. Their whole deal was going to be, can you stop Elizabeth Kitley? Mm-hmm. And in the words of Loose End, you can't stop the rain. 25-12 with 3 blocks in this game. Oh my God. What this young woman shows up, shows out. Every time you say it's time to do the thing, Elizabeth's going to be there to do it. This is a player who, at the end of the day, like I said, she looked around the conference and said, wait a minute. All the players who used to be able to do something with me are gone? Oh, it's macaroni time. And it got nasty for the rest of the conference. And now it's getting nasty for the rest of the country because she's gotten better. She's gotten better in terms of not only distributing the ball, but also just making the right play, making the right read, and doing things for her team in terms of I need to be shooting right now. I need to get it to Georgia Amore right now. And Georgia Amore has come along with it to be not just a really good Robin. She's become the best version of Robin, Nightwing, if you will, for all of my comic book fans. But the reality is she's at the point where she could be a Batman and carry another team per se. That's the point of what you're looking at here. And when you got that rolling, like you said, Angel Reese and company are good. That LSU team, they're long, they're deep, they got a lot of talent. They've dominated all year for a reason. Kim Mulkey has that team rolling, but that Kenny Brooks and company are
They ain't
not
met
coming for
Virginia Tech.
games.
Yeah,
They
they ain't met Virginia Tech yet. And I have full confidence that those girls are going to make them look silly. I really do.
Ain't it funny? Ain't it funny? Ain't it odd even that the ACC was talked about as being so bad at basketball this year? Yet, of the Power 6 conferences, we're the only one with a team on the Final Four in both men's and women's. Ain't it fun? Ain't
you
it
don't want no
interesting?
problems. You just talk like you do. Okay. I'm
Ain't it
just trying to
interesting?
say. It's very interesting. We'll keep y'all covered there. We'll get ready closer to the game. We'll have tomorrow's Miami conversation. We'll preview them against UConn. We're excited about it. I feel good about the boys. We'll talk about the LSU Virginia Tech breakdown Thursday as well, because listen, it's going down Friday. I'm feeling excited about the moments here. So make sure you tune in there. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, until next time.